Commander
Enemy fleet
Jackson
advancing.
Reynolds
All wings
stared at the
deploy now.
holographic
Copy.
display
Flanks are
aboard
blanks
the
are green.
GSS
Hold formation.
Pathfinder,
Fire on my mark.
his weathered face illuminated by the pale blue light. The deep space scanner had detected something impossible, a fleet of vessels drifting in the void between galaxies, their energy signatures dormant but unmistakable. How old? Reynolds asked, his voice steady despite the tremor in his chest. Dr. Emily Morrison, the ship's chief archaeologist, recalibrated her instruments twice before answering. Sir, carbon dating and radiation decay patterns suggest 14 billion years. Give or take a few million. The bridge fell silent. The universe itself was only 13.8 billion years old. That's impossible, muttered Lieutenant Marcus Webb from the tactical station. But the sensors didn't lie. Floating in the cosmic abyss were 12 massive warships, each one larger than any human carrier, their hulls made of an alloy that defied analysis. And carved into their bows, in a script that made Morrison's hands shake, were human letters, Terran Defense Fleet. The Galactic Council convened within hours. Representatives from the Zalthine Empire, the Kronar Dominion, and the Velian Confederacy appeared as shimmering projections around the council chamber. Each species claimed dominion over vast swaths of space, their civilization stretching back millions of years. Ambassador Patricia Hendricks stood before them, humanity's voice among the stars. The younger species, they called her people. The newcomers who'd barely achieved faster-than-light travel a century ago. Preposterous, hissed High Chancellor Zexthar of the Zalthine, his crystalline form refracting the chamber's light. Humanity emerged from their homeworld merely 3,000 of your years ago. Our records are impeccable. Your records are wrong, Hendricks replied calmly. She transmitted the data from the Pathfinder. These ships are human. And they predate your empire by billions of years. The chamber erupted in discord. The Kronar representative, General Throck, slammed his massive fist against the table. Impossible. The Kronar were the first. We seeded the galaxies with life. But doubt had entered the room like an uninvited ghost. Captain Daniel Foster led the boarding party onto the flagship, a behemoth called the Eternity's Dawn. The airlock hissed open, and emergency lighting flickered to life, responding to their presence after eons of darkness. The corridors were vast, built for beings of human proportions. Everything was labeled in English, though the style was archaic, formal. Foster's team moved through the ship with growing awe and terror. They found the bridge. And there, in suspended animation chambers that hummed with impossible energy, were the crew. Humans. 147 of them, their bodies preserved perfectly, waiting. Should we wake them? Asked Specialist Jennifer Cole, her voice barely a whisper. Foster approached the central chamber. Inside lay a woman, her uniform bearing the rank insignia of Fleet Admiral. Her nameplate read, ADM, Sarah Wellington. He initiated the revival sequence. Admiral Wellington's eyes opened slowly, adjusting to light they hadn't seen in an eternity. She sat up, her movements measured and precise despite the temporal displacement. Foster helped her from the chamber, and she stood on legs that remembered how to bear weight. Report, she said simply, her voice carrying the weight of command. Foster explained everything, the current galactic year, the rise of the younger species, humanity's recent emergence from Earth as a spacefaring civilization. Wellington listened without interruption. Then she walked to the bridge's main viewport and gazed out at the universe she'd left behind. We knew this would happen, she said finally. The reset always comes. The universe breathes, Captain Foster. It expands, contracts, and begins again. We've seen it before. As Wellington's crew awakened, the story emerged piece by piece. Humanity hadn't originated on Earth, at least, not this version of Earth. They'd been the eldest species in the previous iteration of the universe, the first to achieve consciousness, the first to reach the stars. They'd fought a war against something that had no name, an entity that sought to prevent the universe's natural cycle, to trap reality in eternal stasis. The Terran Defense Fleet had been humanity's last stand, 12 warships carrying the genetic material, knowledge, and memory of their entire species. We won, Wellington explained to the assembled Galactic Council, now viewing her with a mixture of awe and fear. We forced the cycle to complete. But we knew we'd lose everything, our civilization, our history, our very existence as the dominant species. So we seeded the new universe with our DNA, scattered it across countless worlds. We sent ourselves into the deepest sleep, beyond time itself, with instructions in our genes. Instructions? Ambassador Hendricks asked. To evolve. To survive. To remember when the time was right. Wellington smiled, an expression both sad and proud. Every species in this council chamber carries human DNA. You're all our children, in a sense. The Zalthine, the Kronar, the Velians, you all came from us, adapted and evolved for your worlds. Even the humans of Earth are our descendants, the ones who stayed truest to the original form. The revelation shattered and reformed galactic civilization in equal measure. Some species denied it vehemently, clinging to their own creation myths. Others embraced it, finding comfort in the connection. The Terran Defense Fleet, however, had no interest in ruling or dominating. Wellington made that clear in her final address to the Galactic Council. We didn't preserve ourselves to reclaim some ancient throne, she said. We did it to ensure that life continued, that consciousness survived the death and rebirth of all things. You've built something beautiful here, a diverse, vibrant galactic community. That's exactly what we hoped for. The 12 ancient warships were decommissioned and converted into archives, museums to a humanity that had existed before time itself had meaning. Wellington and her crew chose to integrate into modern society, their knowledge invaluable, their experience beyond measure. Commander Reynolds visited Wellington months later aboard Earth's orbital station. She stood at an observation window, watching the planet that was and wasn't her home. Do you regret it? He asked. Giving up everything you were to save a universe that wouldn't remember you? Wellington considered the question, then shook her head. We gave up everything so that everything could continue. Look at what survived, Commander. Look at what you've all become. That's not something to regret. That's something to celebrate. She turned from the window, her ancient eyes reflecting the light of stars both old and new. Humanity didn't end, Reynolds. It just transformed. And in a way, that makes us immortal.